here we go, man. Terry Allen with us today. What else we got?
Erica D'Erico.
Hello.
There we go. So Terry, man, both of you guys, you just came back from the lake, went on a buddy's boat. You guys have fun or what?
Oh, we had a great
Awesome.
time, man. But,
All right.
I mean,
Yeah.
what else was going to happen with you and me there?
Exactly.
We got to keep drinking.
Beautiful day.
Yeah, nice day.
Keep it going.
So let's just jump right into it, man. So what made you decide to start wrestling, man?
Well, I don't know. It was WrestleMania 9. I can't even tell you how old I was, but I was young. WrestleMania 9. And I had watched this whole thing transpire, and Hulk Hogan won the championship, and I wasn't even a Hulk Hogan fan. I was a Macho Man fan. But Yokozuna Brett lost, Yokozuna won, Hogan came out and won the belt. And I was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even, again, I wasn't even a Hogan fan. It was just like, there was something that clicked with that moment and that crowd. One of the worst WrestleManias ever.
Yeah.
But something about that moment was just like, that's what I want to do.
So how did you find Windy City?
From there, the internet was fucking new.
Brand new.
You fucking newbies, you fucking 20-year-olds and shit like that. The fucking internet before you, the fucking internet with dial-up, the fucking internet where you were just like, well, it's not working. I guess I'll come back in 4 hours. That is what I started searching for a long time. And I was buying every magazine I could, every movie I could, not movie, but VHS tape I could, right?
Yeah.
And I came across Percy Pringle's book, and it had Windy City listed in there, and also listed Windy City as having a lightweight division. And so also, the Monster Factory also had a lightweight division, I guess, at the time. So I was like, oh, because I was coming to high school wrestling. I was adamant at the time I didn't want to do steroids. I was like, I need to do this, like, also, so I need a lightweight division because I might have been. I was 16. I was 180 if I was wearing everybody's clothes soaking wet when I started. I think that's fair. During season, off season, I got up maybe to 180 during off season, but ultimately it was. I'm not giving myself any points. I was heavier than some of these motherfuckers wrestling right now. I'll tell you that, these fucking little skinny fucks. But I was skinny as fuck too. I can't. I'm not gonna remove that at all. I was skinny as fuck too. Not as skinny, but skinny as fuck. So I started studying those schools, and then I saw Windy City on Sports Center late at night.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, shit, okay. This is what I want to do. There's a lightweight division. There's TV exposure. There's way to build. And I'd seen. So after seeing that, I'd start reaching out to. We used to have to write letters. You couldn't even send things through email. Actually, written out letters on paper. Actual. Does anybody remember what paper is anymore?
Stamp.
I had to write a letter and say, listen, this is who I am. You have no fucking clue who I am, but I'd like to train to be a lightweight professional wrestler. And then I guess Gratch and maybe Gratch and Mike Anthony next time came out and watched me wrestle, and I said, okay. And then they invited me to the Windy City training studio. And again, I was still 16. My dad was like, absolutely fucking not. You're gonna die. You're gonna get killed. You're gonna do nothing except for get your ass whooped. You'll never win a championship. You'll never be on TV. Long story short, the power of persuasion. If you don't know, I'm a salesman. Power of persuasion. My dad ended up taking me out.
All right. I knew where you were going with that. I did.
So it was a long way around.
Yeah. So what about you? I mean, a lot of people don't know. I mean, you were there pretty much my early part of my career. Like right when I joined Brotherhood in 2000, you were around with the Warlocks, right?
Yeah.
So
I think
1989?
Yeah, I feel like my
89?
first.
99.
Yeah, I feel
99.
like my first.
89.
We weren't
My
89.
first-
Hell no.
The first match that I was on, like the first show that I was ever on, was in probably, I think, January of '99. And I managed a tag team match with the Warlocks, yeah.
The Warlocks.
Eric and Chris.
Chris?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Valak. You
Valak.
Valak.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally.
So
Love
did
you, Chris.
did
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So did you join the
I could've told you
Warlocks
that
right
20
after
minutes
that?
ago until I started talking about it. Yeah, so I had been, like, when I started Windy City, I knew that that was what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Like, I joined, they were looking for somebody to fill this role, essentially. So that's what I did.
Yeah. It's
So, there was another wrestler who wanted to join Windy City. And Sam had met her at the same time. And was just constantly like, you should come here. You should come here. And then eventually she was like, yeah, I'm going to come there. And I don't think that guy lasted past the show. I don't even know if he made it on training.
no.
I think he made it out. I think he had 1 or 2 matches. I really do.
I think he had a couple matches. I
But
don't remember. though.
Sam's entire intention was get her to Windy City.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you that from inside knowledge.
Well, we didn't have much of a ladies crew back then.
Not
You know?
until then, right?
Not until then. Right. I mean, we had, who did we have? Like, who did we have during our era? I don't remember any.
So, Awesome Andy was the champion while we were
Yeah,
there.
yeah. That was, yeah, yeah.
Sybil,
Yes.
and that was a short-lived situation.
Yes.
We had Lips. I mean, Lips was the long, she was
Lips.
Lisa Alexis and then Lips, but she had long tenures in each. She probably carried out the women's division for the longest time.
Yeah.
Right? But then these girls start training.
Well, it switched. I remember you and Angel. Is that her name? Did we have an
We had
Angel?
an Angel,
Yeah,
yep.
there's-
Yes.
yeah.
Good matches. I mean,
Yep.
really
Yeah.
good matches.
Yeah.
That's when I really feel like those two, and at the time along with Crystal, I feel that it's very deserved that they started changing. Like, it wasn't just bras and panties, and it wasn't just fluff women's matches. Like, they were trying to compete with the men. I mean, they were in every practice with us.
Yeah.
In Windy City, all the women were. You weren't treated any different whatsoever. Lips, right? Erica Dierico, or back in Windy City, she was known as Drusilla.
Ursula. Yeah.
You had Angel. Cheeks went through it. There wasn't a lot of women there. I mean, there were women who joined, and women. I mean, if somebody made names, it goes for men and women. You just can't remember. I mean, there were so many.
Yeah.
Like you, I feel like there's a school being trained by people who are not even people we'd consider professional. That's tough shit. That's actuality. And I'm not being mean to any of you, but just actual. Like we come from a different spot. We come from a different spot.
Different
didn't-
era, I mean,
you
it
didn't
really
get
was.
work unless somebody knew you, and you could call somebody and be like, "Hey, who's this?" Right?
Yeah.
But then these girls showed up and they wanted to be in there with the guys, even, and if they couldn't do it, they tried harder and harder and harder. I mean, I'd say those three really dug in, dug in. Like
I agree.
after a while, we'd be watching. We didn't have cigars in our hand. Well, we'd be like, they were just fucking keeping on par.
Yeah.
And it was really awesome. I really feel like that we started a turn in women's wrestling. I mean, I know they did shit in WWE for a little period with the bras and panties and all that, but there were girls like this that were fighting really hard to be recognized as actual wrestlers and not just women's wrestlers.
And that was all the same time too.
Yeah, yeah.
When all that other shit was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, what was one of your best matches?
I mean, at Windy City.
Windy City.
I
We'll say
would
there
say-
because that's all I know you as, in Windy City. So
Yeah. Probably Battle of the Belts were always like the biggest shows and such a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
So the first time that I wrestled in a singles match at Battle of the Belts, that was pretty memorable. That was when we had the 3 rings, and so we had to walk all the way to the middle, and that was the biggest crowd I had at that point. So that was definitely like an exciting moment. I was really nervous and stuff. But the next year when we did the stacked ring at Battle of the Belts, and we did the 4-way match for that, that was a pretty, big, like, exciting
So let me
match
ask you a
too.
question. Have you ever had any embarrassing moments? Now,
Way to walk him
Well, no,
right
I
into
know,
the
but I
map.
mean, like,
You
it
know where I'm
was
going
a
with this.
big, like, crowd.
Oh, you
and
might as
it
well
was a
talk
big
about it.
match.
It's all
was
good.
It was also her most embarrassing.
It also was. I mean, so yeah. I don't even know how to like intro this story, but
Cinnamon, which is one of our favorite people, one of the sweetest women ever, was kicking the shit out of her. Just fucking stomping the fucking mud hole from here to Texas and back through her.
pretty much, yeah, pretty much. And yeah, there was just one point I was laying on the mat and just getting kicked in the stomach over and over again, and I had no choice. I had to turn my head, and I just threw up in the ring.
Blah!
I've seen that on tape so many
2,500
times.
people, and it was awful. But to be fair, at least for the rest of the match, I didn't bump in it, so I was able to avoid it, which I can't.
Guarantee you, by
was
the
the
end of the night,
safest
I
for
definitely didn't.
everybody.
I'm sure by the tag match, you didn't.
Yeah, she's laying in the ring.
Yeah, I felt
Big
really bad
spot.
about that. It was
Yeah.
really embarrassing. It was really awful.
The night was
Yeah.
moist as is, but that spot was just as moist,
Yeah.
if not more
Yeah,
moist.
yeah.
You knew, like, oh,
Yeah, I
Yay.
really
Yeah.
threw up right in the middle of the ring. That
Yeah.
was something that happened for sure.
So Terry, so back to you, man. So you started. What year did you actually go in?
I think it was 95. You say it was 94. Sometimes you say it's 93, so we've agreed to go with 94.
94.
I'm
yeah.
like
Go right in the
positive.
middle.
I'm like positive it was 95, but I'll go with Wiggle Room with 94. We were not 93 that much.
We need to talk to Chi-Town T because me and him started on the exact same day. So anyway,
Love you, Chi-Town.
so you started. My very first feud was against Brandon Bishop and you.
Yeah.
You were his little sidekick, the guy that would get beat up to bring the good guy in.
To introduce a new lightweight guy, but also get him some baby fire, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
my job was at 150 pounds, and they listed me at 185, I think, to make me passable. My job was just to get killed, and that was I did it well. I know how to get my ass kicked really well.
I've said this, I don't know how many times, but he started at 16,
It was 15 or 16.
15 or 16.
Whether
Okay, if you
depending
were
on what
15
year
or
we go.
16, then it was either 93 or 94. There's almost no way it could be 95 unless it was before April.
Right, so it probably
Just
was
didn't know that
93 or
math, actually.
94.
It's probably 94. Quit doing
This
math.
fucking guy.
We're fucking-
Sorry about the math.
So, some of the things that we did to him could be considered child abuse. Honestly, I mean, we
Hopefully
beat
the
that.
statute of limitations is passed. I don't know
Yeah,
recording this.
yeah. But we beat
And considering
the
that
hell
all
out
been
of
most of
him.
taped, to be fair,
most of
it
them
was
with
on
my
tape.
tag team partner since then. I mean, all water under the bridge, or
It's all good. Now, me and you we had tons of matches, man. We really did. I was in Brotherhood at the time, and you were. What were you in? With Boz and.
no. So before I was with Boz and Boz, Brandon, and Mike before even Brotherhood, and it was me, Boz, and Jason, right? But just before you came back, I moved to the Brotherhood.
Mhm.
So that was about 6 months maybe before you came back, or so, roughly in there, that I joined Brotherhood. So
Yeah.
you came after that.
Yeah.
But we had before Devastation. I mean,
Devastation.
Didn't
That's the
matter.
name I was looking for.
Didn't matter where we were at, whether it was Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, Iowa. I mean, it was Windy City had a very wide spot for a long time. We were against each other. Was it tag or a single? We were against each other for a long.
So there's a tag match. It was, God, back in the, it was up in the Serbian Hall, up in Wisconsin.
Milwaukee.
Yep, it was me and Steve Boz versus you and Brandon Bishop in a tag match. Thank you.
And that was my first match back after the first TV tapings, because Mike and Donnie busted me up.
Yeah. It was different back then.
It was different.
I mean, you had to earn your shit.
That's one way of putting it.
It was different. You couldn't be a pussy. You had to show them that you wanted to be there. Now everybody's afraid to be mean to anybody or rough anybody up. Or yes, everything's changed. I know, but I'm still. There's some people are politically correct. Sometimes I am. Most of the time, I'm just going to tell you how it is.
Yeah.
There's most 90%, if not more, cannot go through a single Windy City training class, if not for months and months before you get an opportunity to get in a battle royal.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
It was different back then.
And I'm not slighting any of you. I'm not trying to talk shit about you. Just most of you haven't even been in a fight. I can't tell you how many guys I'm like, have you been in a real fight? And they're like, no. I'm like, get in a motherfucking fight.
Yeah.
And it's just a different time. I'm not slighting any of you, but it's just different. It's fucking different.
I don't feel like I ever got roughed up. I feel like I had to work my ass off though. And I definitely feel like there was some trainings that I'm like, I can't believe I came back after that. But it was fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
what kind of practices were those?
It was different back then.
You know,
I mean,
the hard ones.
even the girls went through.
Nobody got a break.
Nope.
Yeah, no.
The girls had to keep up with the guys.
I never felt like I was getting a break. I never felt like I was getting a break.
No
I never
woman,
felt like I was getting roughed up either, though. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like I was just being treated like I was expected to perform like everybody else was. I never felt slighted or abused or whatever in the thing. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like everybody gave me everything fairly, and I don't know, and took care of me at the same time, just like, you know.
The same with you being a kid.
Did my best to take care of them.
I mean, you took the abuse, but it wasn't like a bad abuse, you know?
Oh, there was some
no, I would say
horrible abuses.
I would say I think that his experience is not the same as what I'm talking about.
Well,
I'm saying, like, I never...
So you
I
guys
don't know.
treated
I never
like,
got in rings
we
with
treated her like the little sister,
5-6
and
year
the other
vets
girls
that were
like the
like
little
stretching
sisters,
the
right?
shit out of me or anything
We definitely
like
looked
that.
out for them, right?
Yeah.
We were just like, all right, we're gonna, you know, but also, what? So I certainly never gave you a break.
No, it was
ever.
always like, if you're not gonna do it, get the fuck out of the ring. And
Straight up.
that
Seriously.
was, you know, and it was like, well, I'm not gonna get out of the ring, so I obviously just have to do this.
But you guys absolutely were like, all right, he'll take it. Let's see what else he'll take. Well, let's see what else he'll take. You guys absolutely did that, and it came from top down. It's not like, it's not. It was all earned. Those. I mean,
100%.
you got. Sam made you get in there, and you know, when we started, it was Boz, it was Mike Anthony, it was Christopher Daniels, and every once in a while Kevin Quinn, right? Like maybe
Brett
every
Sanders.
couple, maybe Brett would get in there, but maybe every 3 months, maybe 2 months, Ripper would come in for a Saturday and just fucking beat the fuck out of us.
If he was feeling froggy, man, I'm gonna go beat some fucking dudes up.
Yeah. But I definitely think that you guys were like, all right, well, he hasn't fucking complained yet. Let's see what else we can do. There's times, but you couldn't speak back. There was one shot to go. It's not like, God, there's almost in every state, certainly in Illinois, and the northeast part of Indiana, there's a fucking federation on every block, and fuck you motherfuckers. Most of you aren't fucking promoters.
So back in the day, if Sam told you to do something, you did it because he was the only game in town. I mean, you could not go to Indiana and just hook up to a fucking, you know, a wrestling federation, you know? Windy City was the only game, so you did what you were told, or
It had the
You
TV
didn't
exposure.
work.
It had the connection.
we had the TV. Yeah, we had some good shows. We were booked all the time, every month. Yeah, it was good shit, man. Windy City was a good time in my life, dude. It really was.
There
It
was-
made me who I am today.
It was
Sam
an incredible
helped
roster.
with that.
I mean, you think about the talent that came through there through the years. I mean, you just think of, and you could go. I mean, you start towards, you know, you start lower, but I mean, you start getting to Beener, who was going to Puerto Rico, and Daniels, and Kevin Quinn had the first WWF contract. It was WWF back then.
Yeah.
But you had Mike Moran, you had Bull Payne, you had these guys who were around so long. Al Snow was one of our first TV tapings. He was there for several TV tapings
Yeah.
when we were young.
Well, I mean, you want to drop names? We can go back to Paul Heyman,
But we weren't there for Paul. But I mean,
No,
he
we
was.
but he was
Absolutely.
right before us.
But I'm just saying, and you're absolutely right, because Paul, then he brought in Midnight, and I mean, there's so much talent that came through Windy City at different points in time, but I mean, there was this period of time where everybody had stuck together for the time, and then by the time we got there, I mean, you got us, you got Big Capri, you got Jason Rain, don't forget Danny Dominion, Ace Steel, right? I mean,
Yeah.
of course, Boz. And
Well, we can go on like Nightbreed too. Austin
right,
Roberts.
absolutely.
fucking-
I mean, I'm just saying, you start cutting up that 10-year time period where everybody's together, and there is not in an ignorant, arrogant, stupid way, not a company that could match that talent level. I mean,
Yeah.
there was so much. I mean, back to back to back. I mean, he'll always have somebody better somewhere, right? But I mean, it was for a period of time, so much talent came. And then again, I mean, we get to the women too, right? I mean, that really changed right around when we started, of these talented women coming in and fighting for their right to frickin' perform. I mean, you see a lot of the women now, and that's where it started during that period, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it really did. They were like, we're not doing this shit, we're doing this shit. And we were like, fuck yeah, that's what we're fucking teaching. And they,
Yeah. Anyway, so well, shit. Let's talk about. Let me ask you a question. So, I've told everybody that one of my favorite matches, if not my favorite match of all time, whether it's something on WWE or whatever, my favorite match of all time is him versus RVD. It was such a good match. So, tell me how that happened leading up into that match. I mean, what, did Sam come to you and say, hey man, you want to work this guy? Because he wasn't in WWE yet.
no, it was not.
He was getting ready to make the transition from ECW to WWE. So he wasn't really signed yet, was he? Or
He
was
was
he?
not signed yet.
But they knew he was going to be signed, obviously.
We definitely had talks backstage that he had been having talks with him.
Yeah. Okay. So how'd that lead up? I mean, one of my favorite matches ever, seriously.
So we were sitting down for a Battle of the Belts meeting. As one of the trainers, you know, they'd pull us in to get thoughts, but I was also their league champion, and they're just like, okay, you know, where do we want to go in what direction? And because of the separation from ECW, or maybe because of the relationship, forgive me, it's 22 years now at least. Everybody's like, Rob Van Dam, right? And I was like, yeah, that's a great choice. And Boz is our heavyweight champion, right? And I was like, you know, you should face Boz for the heavyweight championship. I think that'd be a great match. And everybody's like,
It would've
and
been.
everybody in the room
It
was
would've
like,
been good.
nope, it's got to be you. And I was like, no, you know, Boz can have. We can figure out something else for me. I mean, if I'm in the room, I don't feel I need that light. But all of them, Gretschner, Sam, Mike Anthony, Boz, they're like, no, it's got to be you. I mean, even Boz.
It was good,
like,
yeah.
it's got to be. And I was like, all right, okay. And we saw if he was available, and it took a little bit, but they got done. But I mean, yeah, it wasn't a match I was volunteering for, not for any other reason than I was just like, I thought I thought Paz and him would have a great match.
All right, so they told you, you know, you were going to wrestle him. So did you talk to him at all before?
Never.
Yeah, I remember I was in there with you because Brotherhood had a spot with you guys,
Correct.
and he was in between two chairs doing the splits, stretching. Walked in there like, what the fuck is going on? I mean,
Yeah,
ridiculous.
So so he uses weight with it normally. It's called the Van Dam lift. It's now a professional bodybuilding lift. But yeah, that's how he stretches out too.
Yeah.
Literally between two chairs, and I'm sitting there talking to him. He didn't know me, so but I told him, I'm like, I've probably seen everything you've done because I was like, all right, if I'm wrestling him, I need to know what's going on. I wasn't a tremendous ECW fan, of course. I knew who Rob Van Dam was, but I was just like, all right, he doesn't know me, so I have to know everything, right? That's just how it was. I mean, he didn't know what I could accomplish, what I couldn't. He didn't know. So I was just like, I'm going to study everything. I know what he likes where and when he likes to do it, and figure everything out from there. So that was my goal. And that's where we went with it. He was like, oh. Not in an ignorant way. He was just like, you've really studied it. And probably until we got through the first spot or two, he probably wasn't sure if I could or couldn't.
Yeah.
But
Well, of course. You know.
we've all been there with people who
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Everybody.
And is that one of your best matches, you think?
I still hate that match. I hate it from the aspect of it's not a bad match. Like I now
love
can
that
watch
fucking
it.
match. I know. I told you. I love it.
I can now watch it and be like, that was fun, right? It was an entertaining match for all of its pieces. But there's a point where he did a drop kick on me, and he drop kicked the chair in the corner and landed on my leg and tore my knee. So I mean, I still wrestled half the match that way. Like every time he tapped my knee, I'd just fall over. But you have the adrenaline. You have 2,000 people around you. And you're just like, make it. And
it was
then
a nice crowd too that night.
and we were just, I was just like, he's like, are you still good to go? And I'm like, we'll find out. And I was like, okay, we're good to go. And then we'd have a ending of the match, but the crowd didn't like it. We'd be like, can you still go? I'm like, we're gonna find out. And we still went. I mean, so it lasted almost an hour, but
Well, he's like a machine, isn't he?
he is.
His
His first spin kick was the hardest thing I've ever taken in the face in the ring, and I've been hit by Bull Payne in the ring. I mean, Bull Payne made me see stars. Al Squire made me see stars. Van Dam's backwards heel kick. I hit the mat and I start going, making sure my nose is here because it felt like it was over here. I just hit the ground. I was like, all right, it's right where it's supposed to be. Get up. As long as I knew where it was. I mean, I've had it over here before. You just pull it back, but I had to know where it was first.
So that turned out to be like one of my favorite matches, and I've told you that. So you weren't like happy with it, or just
So I was injured for half the match, so I knew where we were going to go, and knew what I could get through.
gotcha?
Think of our last match, right? Where I've had back injuries for years, and in that match, Ivan jumped up and dropped an elbow on my back. Again, nothing that we ever thought would actually hurt me, but I've had back injuries for years. Fire shot down up and down my legs, and I asked him to give me a couple of minutes. So he went to the crowd, he went to you guys, and he yelled to you and riled you up. Just give me a chance to breathe. And I was like, we just got to pick up the pace, and that's from that point we picked up the pace because we didn't know if I was going to lose feeling in my legs because that has happened. So we were just like, we'll take it as far as we can and figure it out from there. And luckily, everything went fine, but I was on fire for my whole half. Like that, when we did our double over elbow, and we landed on
cool.
JPH, looked great, but like afterwards, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But we had a fun match. It was just like for a little while, I was scared that we weren't going to get through it. I was like, we got to pick it up.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that. I never thought that. I do remember my elbow was a little snug, but it wasn't enough to.
It wasn't.
know.
You didn't put it in there. You weren't. It wasn't. It was Windy City snug, right? It wasn't anything. It wasn't anything. I've taken that from you hundreds of times, literally hundreds of times. So when we were talking about stuff, and because we talked a lot about protecting my back. I mean, at that time, I mean, it's gotten better. For years I've been getting better, but we talked about how to avoid my back.
Yeah.
And so never once did we think that this elbow would do that. But all of a sudden, I just rolled over. I'm like, oh, go to the ground.
Yeah.
And I rolled back over and just looked at the mat for 2 minutes, maybe a minute and a half. But it was definitely I was just trying to breathe, just making sure I could feel my legs because if I can't stand up,
Yeah.
we got to go somewhere
I
else.
felt terrible. So, like when he never asked me like give him time. So when he said, "Hey, give me a few minutes, or give me some time," I knew. I was like, "Oh man, fuck, what I do?"
And it was nothing.
One
it
of
was
those
just my-
things,
it's just my
you know.
my back, which is not great, in combination with the simplest move we've done hundreds and hundreds of times.
But I am kind of snug with it.
No,
I'm
no
not
more
gonna fluff
snug.
nothing. It's getting put in there.
No more
So-
snug than I am.
And that's all I ask. You know. Ugh. Anyway. So let's go back to you. So, when was the last match you had? Because you've been out of the spotlight for a while.
Yeah,
So,
the last match that I actually had was in Chicago.
who'd you work?
I worked December, and
PCW.
Oh yeah.
yeah, at PCW. I want to say it was one of the Dream Night shows,
Mm-hmm.
maybe.
Who's the Dream Night?
Does 15 sound like a big enough number? Maybe. I
Dream
really
Night,
don't know.
Dream Night,
Dream Night
big
something
number.
or other.
Dream Night, big number.
Bigger no,
I
yeah.
can't even tell you what year right now. It was
11.
after 11. It was probably in 20, maybe 13 or 14 or maybe even 15. I don't think there's
All
any
these
way.
years is
I feel like
fucking-
it was
do.
absolutely
At a certain
15.
point
I
in
know.
time.
I feel like it was 15 at the latest. I think. Yeah. Like I'm pretty sure there's no way. I'm pretty sure 2015 actually sounds good. So maybe that's why I'm saying Dream Night 15. 'Cause it was
Sure.
2015.
So did you
Something
know?
about that. I
Did
could
you
be
know
right or
that,
wrong.
like? Yeah, I'm like done for a while. Did that go through your head, or you were just do a match and be like,
No, I mean, I knew that it was going to be like a one-time thing for the moment or whatever. Like, I knew I was coming to do the show, and I didn't think it meant that I was necessarily like going to be taking bookings or
yeah.
whatever. And I definitely didn't think, no, like I wasn't like, oh, I'm retiring or anything
Yeah.
like that either. It's just, I don't know. I just kind of like took a very, very reduced schedule. So, you know.
all right.
Decade something long with your schedule.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not, yeah, less than a decade. I don't think that I've ever been out for I don't think I've been out for 10 years at a stretch or whatever, but it's getting close, obviously.
Yeah, it's 15
I was
if
gonna
you
say
did
15 was
2015,
the
yeah.
less. But,
So
yeah.
you held some championships, right? You hold the ladies at
At
all?
Windy City, I
Windy
did
City?
for a little while, and then in Arizona, the
NWA Women's
the
Championship.
NWA
Oh, yeah?
Arizona Women's Championship.
Arizona. How's that compared to Chicago? Like cool or?
I loved it out there.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Yeah, for so many reasons. And so I guess just much like at Windy City, I kind of found a very like family-like squad out there,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, we worked regular shows and traveled and did all sorts of, you know, great fun stuff. So yeah, and I do feel like I got to do a little bit more out there. It was just kind of different situations, but yeah, I loved it. Absolutely loved the time that I
You miss
wrestled out
wrestling?
in Arizona.
You miss springtime?
Yeah,
Springtime is hard, right? Sorry, go ahead.
right. Ring time, yeah. And overall, yes. Like, I do miss
Yeah.
wrestling,
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. You know, I mean, I don't know how you couldn't. Like, obviously, you wouldn't have done it for as long as we have if it's not something that you would miss,
Yep.
right? If you weren't doing it. So, Yeah, absolutely. You know, there was definitely things that, you know, made me make decisions to not take bookings anymore and stuff like that. And some had to do with the business, and some had to do with personal life. And
Yeah.
you know, at a point where it didn't make sense anymore, or it wasn't as fun anymore, and yeah, it just, you know, just kind of created space and.
I get you.
And then, but then here you are, you know, here we are again. So.
Here we are.
21
Yeah.
years later.
Yeah.
22, 23,
What do you say?
24,
99 is 24.
24 years later.
Math.
Math. That's why we became professional wrestlers, because we can't math.
Some of us can
No.
math sometimes.
I can't math.
Look, even as
Some
a
of us
financial
can
advisor,
math sometimes.
there's all the equations for it.
Doesn't even make sense.
I don't
Those
know
were
what the fuck
noises,
that
not
meant.
numbers.
The parents will understand what's there. The parents will know.
Whatever. We have established today, I don't know if this is on video at any point, but at some point today, both of you guys didn't know how old you are or what year it was, or some form of confusion in that.
Yeah.
So,
Once you get to be a certain age, doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter.
What year is it?
Oh, God.
2024.
totally.
All right, so you're in Windy City. Who was your last match in Windy City? Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was me and Angel.
Angel?
Yep. I
What-
think it was a singles match, our last one. I want to
Yeah,
say we did
Martha's.
a mixed tag
No,
really close to the end, so I'm not sure. I think we did a mixed tag, and then we did the last match as
Yeah.
a singles match. I think it might be
It's
the
St.
other way
Martha's.
around, but I'm pretty sure it was
Martha's
the singles was the last
up
one.
in,
Up north.
It was like
up
a
north,
school.
yeah.
I feel like
St.
like
Martha's. It was
yeah.
a Girls Catholic school. It was a great venue, but they were closing
Yeah, yeah.
down, and it just didn't work out. But yeah, that St. Martha's show, good little shows. They were good. And they
They were doing TV tapings at
yeah,
some
we're
of
doing
those
TV
places.
tapings.
Yeah.
They would just show up. They pack it out. It was a fun place.
Yeah. You know what else was a good venue was Urban Street.
Bourbon Street was a great place.
Yeah, what happened?
Until it was ruined by
Why did you get kicked out of there?
somebody has a fat fucking head. His name is Terry Allen. And at one point, I was wrestling this guy named Baltazar, who some of you know as Hunter Payne. We were fighting outside. At some point, I pissed him off. And he just grabbed me and fucking heaved me towards the wall. Like, there was nothing I could fucking do. Nothing. I did everything I could. And I was like, I'm going through the fucking wall. And I made it to the wall, and I spread myself. I'm like fucking Wile E. Coyote this fucking shit. See if you could stop from going through.
no.
And I opened up and still through the wall. And back I come, and it split my head open, and then as Jeff gets me to fucking hammer me, he's like, fuck! I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And we were never, ever.
That was it.
I went up to the owner, I was like, we will fix everything. Because I promised him it would never fucking happen. We'll take care of everything. And we had Julian and fucking Two Fingers fighting all over the bar, and they were pissed about that, but they still enjoyed it. But me going through the wall, they were not happy about it. And I was like, we will fix everything. He was like, don't worry about it. And I kept trying to call him, and he just would not answer anymore. Go in,
Nope.
he'd be like, I'm busy. I was like, I'm so sorry. But
It happens.
that's fucking Jeff's fucking fault for throwing. I mean, there's nothing I could do, right? Nothing.
I blame him. Fuck it.
I'm the one who went through the wall. But man, there was nothing I could do. I mean, literally, I was just like, no, yep, here I go. Your
Anyway,
fault, Baltazar.
so what are you doing now? So me and you had, so I retired, and he was my last match. I figured it only was, it worked perfect because he was in my first feud. So to have my last match with him was fucking amazing. So what are you doing now? What have you done since you beat my ass?
Since
beat my ass.
I didn't beat his ass.
He wasn't very nice to me.
I threw a right hand.
You would think, oh,
Like
hey,
4 of 'em.
he's going to retire. I'm not going to fucking hurt him as bad. I was sore for like a month.
Took 4 or 5 big right hands to stop him.
Anyway,
But
I see your name all over the place.
I'm
So,
an insurance and financial advisor with Country Financial.
okay.
But
If you guys need some insurance, right here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've done that for a long, long time. But just recently bought the office for Country Financial.
Okay.
But then I've been... Jimmy Blaze reached out to me. He's like,
Oh,
listen,
we're gonna
I
reach over
really...
here.
He's like, Koa Laxman has been talking about facing you quite a bit. I'd like you to face him and see what you can do with him. And I was like, And he was like, it's just a one-off, it's because I grew up I grew up in Glendale Heights and Lombard. I went to school at Lombard East, so I mean, where Brauhaus was, where he's asking for the show, was where I grew up. And I was like, let's not do a one-off. Let's figure out how I can work with him for a little while. He's a great guy, so I've been wrestling him since I wrestled you, but
Yeah.
you're the one who started it. I mean,
Well,
the shape I came into in the ring, which I had lost weight to get in the ring with you,
yeah.
right? And then that fire shooting up and down my spine, I was like, I need to get my shit back together.
Yeah.
So that presented itself, and I was like, all right, I never get in any better shape than when I'm wrestling. There's something about wrestling where I can get in shape for it. I can't do it for myself, and I was like, all right, well, let me get in shape to face this guy who looks like a little Hawaiian Greek fucking god. Right?
Yeah.
He's cut out of freaking granite. Right?
Yeah,
Looked
yeah.
great. I was like, all right, well, let me work on getting in shape to face him, because we had so much fun in that match. I mean, we beat the snot out of each other. The snot. Literally the snot. I mean, there's pictures of us beating each other in the corner, and we're both smiling, even though we're getting smacked by each other, right? I mean, there's definitely a picture where you're throwing a punch, and we're both like, we had fun, right? We just had fun beating the shit out of each other. But it's like, man, I had so much fun there, but I was like, I can't be in this bad of shape. I can't have my back going out in a blink.
Yeah.
So that's what started my desire to start. Again, I lost weight to face you, but to really buckle down.
Yeah. I noticed today you lost a little bit of weight.
Since last time we wrestled, it's
Yeah.
been 30-something pounds. I was 220 this morning, so it was 35 pounds or so.
Yeah.
Since last time we wrestled. Yeah.
You get it? Get it?
It helps. I mean, Erica cares. She wants me to be healthy. She makes smoothies and shit in the morning after I work out and shit like that. She definitely wants to see me be healthy too. So
Well,
that helps a lot.
it's like the end game is just being healthy.
Right. Exactly.
Not even worry about wrestling or fucking whatever.
I just don't get
You
it.
know.
I don't get in bad shape unless I have a goal. I was a gym rat forever. Now I need to have a reasonable goal to get it.
See,
I don't like running.
No.
There's so much that but she wants me healthy.
Yeah.
We had so much fun. Even though we were so fucking dead at the end of the match. We had so much fun.
Well, good. Good.
That started the turn for me. It really did.
So that's what you're doing now.
That's
a
what I'm
little feud going or something going.
correct.
Yeah.
So we're 2-0 against the Coconut and Coconut and Kaylee's, and we're facing each other again November 4th.
Coming back
at
for
Powell.
more.
Yeah, he's.
Very cool.
I don't get why he wants a third round. I mean, by hook or by crook, we don't give up. It's old school.
Yeah.
A win is a win, and raise is all that matters.
That's right. And so what are you doing? Are you guys together or anything or?
Yeah, so for the last couple matches, I have gone out as manager, and
And you should. I mean, the knowledge is there.
yes,
Why wouldn't you?
I mean,
That's all you.
it's hard.
sense right
For
there.
the first couple years, I was hanging out, going to shows, watching, seeing what's going on, and it's hard to be around it and not want to be in it,
I know.
especially when you're like, I I'm literally going anyways. I could just go a couple hours earlier and bring an extra outfit and do my makeup a little bit and like go have some fun, right? So yeah, it's just been like as tempting, you know, as can be really, but at the same time, it's like, you know, like I said, or like, you know, we're talking about just staying healthy is a big deal, you know. I feel like that was kind of the whole, like, when, you know, taking a break, when it was like, you know, if I got hurt, it's not worth it. Like, I have this real life that I have to live, and I cannot be injured for it. You know what I mean? Like, I have real bills and a real job and real shit going on.
Yes.
And so, like, unless I'm really making a living at this wrestling, which, you know, for a time, you know, it was still a struggle, but like, kinda, you know,
do it,
but like, you know,
it just she was in Arizona,
it was such a it was just such a hustle all the time, and it was still, it was not like a dependable like full-time thing. And so you're like, I've got to get some stability, and until it pays better, it's not a thing. And so real life started paying better and taking precedence, and you know, it just kind of was a way that it was, you know. But I'll always say my biggest downfall was that when I was young, if I had learned to promote myself in the way that, like, you know, would have been so easy to do, really, but just like didn't get it, you know, and kind of counted on.
We were all taught to be so modest.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I guess that was kind of the thing. I guess that would be the one thing, if I had any sort of criticism towards Windy City, it would be that it was like, we'll do this for you. And yes, like, you need to be humble. You can't go around and be like, this is who I am and this is what I've done. And you know what I mean? It was kind of like a wait till you're noticed, like, thing or whatever. Like, don't speak unless you're spoken to or whatever. Like, to take it even a step further back. But like, I feel like if it would have been just encouraged from the beginning, and we came in our beginning was obviously like we were talking about right at the very, very, like, the internet, like, we didn't even know what it was, right? Really, we had no idea what the potential of what it could possibly be or whatever in the next few years even. And so I feel like by this much, like, it could have been a whole different thing. Like, if I would have started even a year later, that, you know, get a website or whatever, you'd be like, oh, what? You know, that's crazy. But like, I don't know, like, the self-promotion, I feel like would have taken me so much further. And it's like, if you knew then what you knew now, you could work twice as smart and half as hard and have 10,000 times as much, right?
100%. It was a different time back then. I mean, people don't realize.
But it was also like, you know what I mean? Like, by the time when we were training and like the changing of like how that happened, like, if you know what I mean? Like, just like I said, I didn't have the foresight and I didn't have the coaching to be like, tell everybody what you want to do, you know?
You saying you weren't coaching?
I mean, as far as like elbow drops and arm drags and you know, drop kicks. But
well, shit.
As far as that.
Well, anyway, so I don't know. What do you guys think? We're losing light. Anything else you guys want to speak on? Why we're here before we lose that little bit of light?
Nothing specific. We appreciate you having us out here.
I'm glad you. Glad you guys came out. Hope you had fun. We didn't take my boat out.
It was a beautiful, awesome day.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I love you guys. Thanks for coming out.
We love you too, man. Thanks for having us out.
All right. Well, cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.